Joining us now, Walter Jones, 3rd District, Republican, North Carolina. He says he's going to retire, but we get him on every week to talk him out of it because we need him there in Congress, especially for another term, because he's our truth serum in Congress. He tells us exactly what is going on because he doesn't care, because he just gets up every day and tells you the truth about the swamp. And he's with us now. Congressman Jones, how you doing?
John, good morning, and I really enjoy listening to you get started, and that helps me get started, so thank you.
I love getting you fired up, and it's pretty easy to do that. What is going on right now with immigration, with the bill? The Goodlatte bill went down the tubes. Now there's the Ryan compromise bill, which some of the Freedom Caucus are telling me they're voting no because it's simply an amnesty bill. They're not doing anything except they've got some money for the wall, which they say. But that's not going to pass anyway. They don't have the votes for that. What is going on? When are we going to get something passed here?
Well, Joe, John, the leadership was trying to work with Denham and the young man from Florida and to come up with some compromise bill. But the problem is the DACA issue. The issue is with the Goodlatte bill that failed last week, but got a pretty good vote, but it still failed, had a system that made more sense. It was not a pathway to citizenship. What it was a system that had checks and balances, and the DACA kids could stay here for a period of time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the compromise bill, they've been doing everything they could to get votes on it, but it still has the problem of a pathway. So many Republicans who believe that there's no way that this should be a pathway are opposed to the bill. And there might be other reasons that I did not state, but that's the main reason I'm not going to vote for it.
So basically, many conservatives that believe if you came to the country illegally, that it's got to be more of an arduous task you have to go through the proper lines like everybody else to get citizenship. This new bill basically is what one person on the Freedom Caucus told me is basically an amnesty bill by some other name. And they said the other problem with it is not only is it an amnesty with no strings attached, but once you get that, then you can extend that under chain migration to your parents who brought you here illegally that are probably still legal, and then they extend it to their family. And so what they were saying to me is the 2 million DACA kids basically turn into 20 million because it's all 10x fold. And so they were very concerned with that. And they also said that, look, this just opens up this culture in America, and it sends the message that if somehow you can simply get across that southern border, at the end of the day, you're going to get citizenship and you're going to be a citizen and you're going to get taken care of. And so there's very little risk not to do it. And it's like, why bother to follow the rules when at the end of the day, you're going to get amnesty anyway? So just walk over. Why spend money and time trying to go through the legal system? That's the argument I've heard, why they're voting no.
That is a major part of the problem that you and whomever you were talking to, that's one of the problems, that we have a multitude of problems that it seems like the leadership is more intent to make the changes that we think are detrimental to America's future.
Right. So leadership is just looking for an amnesty bill to pass to get through the midterm. So be damned with the policy, but keep the power. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Well, yesterday in the conference, a brief conversation about the bill, and they say they're going to bring it up today or tonight because they have made a commitment to the members who signed the discharge petition, who are Republicans, that they would get a vote. And we're not here Friday because of the weekend before July the 4th, so the vote will have to be tonight or it could be Thursday. But they say we're going to be out of here about 1 o'clock on Thursday so members can catch planes home. So my thinking is if it's coming up, it'd be this afternoon or early tonight, and it won't pass.
It's not going to pass. I don't think there's any way it passes. Now, let me ask you this. We're with Congressman, 3rd District, North Carolina Republican Walter Jones, he is not beholden to anybody. He's not a member of any group or secret society. He does what he thinks is best, and he's often at odds with leadership because, well, they can't count on him because he doesn't toe the line. So, Congressman, let me just ask you this straight out. If the Ryan bill fails tonight, which it will, does that put moderate Republicans' discharge bill, Queen of the Hill, back on the table?
I don't think so. I think it would deflate that effort, and most of the Republicans who went on to sign the discharge petition, I think then, John, really we come back in July, and then we break for August, and then we come back in September, we shut down the government. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Once you get through the issue and it becomes somewhat deflated, then it seems like we go to something else. That doesn't mean that there aren't Republicans that really want to have another bill, but I don't know if the time would permit it or not.
Congressman, what do you think about the Supreme Court ruling yesterday, 5-4, in favor of President Trump's travel ban aimed at 8 countries? Do you think they did the right thing? Why or why not?
Well, I think probably it's a good thing. I wish they'd added Saudi Arabia, but they didn't. As long as there are exceptions made that if the country that's on the ban has a serious illness of a citizen and the doctors in that country in America agree that they need to have medical assistance to save their life, I think that exception. I've not read the pros and cons of the decision yet. I probably won't read it, John, till this weekend. But as long as there is some exception when it has to do with life or death, then I'm okay with it.
Well, Congressman, that makes sense to me. I mean, I think if there's a emergency, there should be that kind of an exception so we can get a person into the country that needs U.S. doctors or U.S. medical care. That seems to make a lot of sense to me. You know, I was thinking the other day, we have these 5,000 troops that were just sent to Afghanistan. How many troops are in Afghanistan now, Congressman, in total?
Well over 10,000. In fact, I appeared at the Rules Committee yesterday with Barbara Lee. I'm on her amendment to repeal the 2001 AUMF. And I said in my time in the Rules Committee, it's a sad day in America when we can't have a 10-minute debate when our troops are in harm's way. And we haven't even debated the AUMF from 2001. And if we can't have this debate, then I don't know what in the world the Constitution means anymore when it comes to war policy.
Well, they don't want the debate, Congressman, because they'll lose it. That's why they don't want the debate. I mean,
yeah, you're right. I doubt very seriously if they will approve it because for whatever reason, this Congress and this Republican, Pat Buchanan, wrote an article in the American Conservative about 5 years ago that said that now the war party is the Republican Party. We are the war party, and that disappoints me because we can't even get a debate.
Well, as I said, a debate would open up the can of worms because then the administration would have to come in and articulate. Not only would they have to articulate what the Afghanistan policy is, but then they would have to defend why we have 10,000 troops there. They would have to lay out a plan. There would have to be an exit strategy. There would have to be, what's the mission? Why are we there? What are we doing? When do we get out? All of that would have to be explained. And it can't be explained because it doesn't make any sense. So they know that. So they want to keep the military-industrial complex going. They want to keep the war machine humming, the money flowing. And so they do this by leveraging an AUMF from 2001 that was granted appropriately so when we got attacked in the Twin Towers on 9/11, et cetera. But it's not been updated because if it is attempted to get updated, it'll get crushed, right? They'll never get a majority in the House or the Senate. So they can't get a majority in either chamber. And so what they do is they don't bring it up for debate, and they keep stalling it. And they keep telling you July and August and September and 2016, 15, 14, 13, 10, 17, and it never happens. And then when it does happen, guess what they do? They put it into rules at midnight where it dies a quick death of a long knife.
And John, to your point that you articulated very well as usual, Barbara Lee's amendment, what it did was to say if it should pass after a period of weeks, then the administration would come forward with a new AUMF to be debated by Congress.
Right.
And how in the world can anybody be opposed to that?
Right.
I don't understand it.
Well, they need to come in and they need to make the case for new AUMF and why and how and what. And then Congress is going to debate it and then do a vote. And they don't want to do it because the vote will crush it. They don't have anywhere near the votes to keep this thing going. And they can't explain it. And so that's why it gets tabled. And that's why we call it the swamp.
Well, I remember being on your show a few months ago, and I think it was Congressman Taylor, I could be mistaken, had been on and told you that Paul Ryan had promised him a debate.
In March.
And we hadn't had that debate yet either, by the way.
He said he promised it in March. We asked him about it during his campaign, and he said, well, it's been pushed off. It's going to be probably over the summer. Now the summer's gone because everybody's leaving. Now it's going to get pushed off into, well, we're going to push it off till after the midterms. So again, it's all lies, right? And Paul Ryan is no longer accountable to anything he said because he's leaving, so he's a lame duck. So it just keeps going on and on and on. And if you keep control of the House, which is 50-50, and you elect Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, and I hope it's Jim Jordan, but if you elect McCarthy as Speaker, he's going to do the exact same thing. He's going to have a meeting with everybody and say, oh, we'll take this up in April, and April will come and go, and there's going to be no meeting.
Well, John, I'm going to tell you how frustrating it is. I'm writing a letter, and I'll make it public when I finish and finalize it. But in the last sentence, I say to Mr. Ryan, I have been assured that should the Democrats win the majority, that we will finally have our debate on Afghanistan. Mr. Speaker, I wish this debate would take place under Republican leadership. And I'm going to put there where that Pat Buchanan said, we are the war party, in the close.
Well, very interesting. As we go forward with this, we'll have to see how it plays out. And but I have no confidence if the Democrats took control and Nancy Pelosi was the Speaker, which is most likely going to happen if they do win. I don't think she'll bring it up either, because look, once you get in power, I mean, there's so much money, Congressman, flowing into people's coffers from those that benefit from the war machine, that then go back and they donate to political action committees and to various congressmen in the various committees. There's so much money flowing into them. I just doubt that we're ever going to have the debate. And so I have no confidence in it, regardless of who's in charge. I don't think it matters.
Well, I hope you're wrong. The only reason I said that, Jim McGovern, who's on the Rules Committee, and he spoke yesterday in behalf of the Lee Jones Amendment, he's the one that said publicly, if they become the majority, he'll be the Rules Chairman, and he said that he would make sure there was a debate on the floor. I would rather for the Republican Party to be that strong about a debate on war.
It would certainly be an interesting turn of events if we just had the debate. And again, for our listening audience, no one is asking for a policy change. No one is saying we need to get out of Afghanistan or get out of Iraq or wherever we are. All they're saying is, let's debate a new AUMF. That's it. Let's simply debate it. And then we'll let the chips fall where they may. And when you don't want to debate, bad things happen. Look, Joe Crowley got beat last night. One of the reasons he got beat by this young 28-year-old candidate with no political experience, she got outspent $3.5 million to $190,000. He wouldn't debate her. I mean, when you don't debate somebody, you start saying, why do you want to have a debate? I mean, if you're that great, just debate her and win and be done with it. Choking off dialogue is never a healthy thing, and people pay the price for that. Congressman, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
We'll
have a great
this.
weekend.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a happy July 4th. Also, Congressman Walter Jones, you can get more information. Go to jones.house.gov. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.